Good morning and welcome to my online blog. It's the 17th of August and let's see what the news is. We'll start from the headline. They're rehabilitating and discussing the port in Gaza. The problem is that Israel is trying to prevent Gaza from becoming a port to Iran. Iran, if it takes over, this will be a major port for her. So unfortunately there needs to be supervision, but it looks good. Israel in Israel they think that Iran is going to try to maintain the nuclear agreement. Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, yeah, it's complicated. And we have a sad item. Oh, my coffee's here. Thanks. My coffee's here. And so, an interesting story about an Iraqi spy who infiltrated ISIS, and he prevented attacks. One of them was 500 kilograms of explosives. The ISIS was planning to, in the new year, was going to blow up in Baghdad. And many things he did. For 16 months, this man from Sudan worked as it's called a hedgehog, pretending he's a jihadist, and he managed to prevent 30 attacks. These hidden heroes that nobody knows, and he's been executed. So, recognized after his death. And another hero, unbelievable, Aretha Franklin died yesterday, one of the greatest voices. There were no doubts, it says here, she was in 1967, #1 soul music. And until her death, there hasn't been any singer who could challenge her on that. More on page 18. I agree. But she suffered a long history of, she had a lot of health problems, so it's the only, look at her, photos of her when she was young. Oh no, not young, 2017, she looks amazing. But unfortunately she did have health issues. It talks about how she represented America and black and white alike. Her personal life, her mother ran away from home. When Aretha was only 6, her father was a womanizer. And she had 2 kids from 2 different fathers at the age of 15. Wow, what a life. Who would have thought? Aretha Franklin was a wonder child, and her early years, she didn't manage to fulfill her potential yet. And she started with gospel in the church, and then her first breakthrough was in 1966. Jerry Vaxler, the Jewish producer, New York producer from Atlantic Records, convinced her to end her contract with Columbia Records. To record in the South of U.S. The only session she had in the South, and fame in Alabama. Oh my gosh! And it ended up with a fight between her husband Ted White to the white players. But Wexler, with great effort, convinced her to go back and record with those same musicians, the same style. Soul influenced the South, also in New York. Aretha went on a train that went 3 years earlier from Memphis, Tennessee, where she was born, and soon she was also a train driver. Oh my gosh. The result of her first recordings in Alabama and New York were an amazing record. I Never Loved a Man, as the way I loved you, and Respect was Otis Redding first wrote it and performed it, but it became her song. "The girl stole my song," said Otis Redding, smiling. And the Israeli radio stations will be playing Respect and Chain of Fools and Think, and her repertoire was much more than that. Amazing Grace, Spirit in the Dark, and she was playing with Ray Charles. By the way, I saw him live in Boston. Franklin also stayed in the last 4 decades. She was still performing. Her biography connected her with a journalist. She was very lonely, failed romance, overeating, depression. She was the most difficult woman since Eve bit the apple. Nobody would say shit to Aretha, said her agent Ruth Bolfin. She was called the Great Lady of Sorrow. But she became a symbol for African Americans and Americans. Her eccentric behavior didn't take away from her amazing voice and phenomenon. Her biggest fan was Barack Obama, and he described her influence in the U.S. and the connection between gospel songs and Afro-Americans, blues and rhythm, rock and roll. The way that the sorrow and torture became something more beautiful and with hope, you say. American history is filled with emotions when Aretha sings. And when she plays the piano, you make me feel like a natural woman. She can make me cry the way Ray Charles' Beautiful America will always be for me the most patriotic music ever played, because she captures the full American experience. The view from below, like the view from the top, the beautiful and the bad, and the possibility for synthesis, completion, and overcoming. Beautiful words by Barack Obama. And it takes one to know one. The rest of the news is so this is back to the spy who saved a lot of people. It was hedgehogging ISIS and sacrificed his life in Iraq. He was exposed and murdered by jihadists. So, the hidden heroes.